What is up, my peepholes? This is your guy, Kalai, and welcome back to Budget Buys Budget Tubing Edition. Now today, what I want to take a look at is probably one of the most common intro mics on the market, the BM-800. And I say it's probably one of the most common simply because while today's model is brought to us by Excelvan, you'll actually find this sold and rebranded from any number of Chinese manufacturers, sometimes called the BM-800, sometimes with a slightly changed model number. I'm looking at you, Neewer NW-800. But all in all, they're basically the same mic, though price points may differ. I got mine for, I believe, $10 from an American supplier, but I'm thinking they were just trying to clear out old stock. You'll actually find these averaging around $15 to $30, maybe a little bit more depending on the bundle you get, but I just got a bare bones setup this time around. In fact, what I have, I've already taken out of the box. So what I got are the microphone proper, a shock mount, a 3/8 to 5/8 thread adapter for the shock mount so that I can use with any number of mic stands, tripods, boom arms, etc. A wind guard, not to be confused with a pop filter. I have an entire video on that topic planned. And an XLR to 3.5mm audio cable. And if you're willing to spend just a little bit more money, I want to say in the $35 to $40 range for the whole bundle, not only do you get everything you see here, except rebranded of course, but you also get a boom arm, a proper XLR cable, a phantom power supply to use with the XLR cable to give your mic quite the boost in quality, as well as a true pop filter. People, use real pop filters. Wind guards won't cut it. I want to rant, but I'll save it for the video. Anyway, let's just focus on the quality of the mic for now. Fortunately, Excelvan actually included a data sheet, though it is on some super glossy paper, so I hope it shows up on camera. The main things we're going to want to take away from this are the frequency response listed as 20 Hz to 20 kHz, which I mentioned in my previous video is the standard, and they even include a nice little frequency response graph. Hopefully it's going to line up with that once I break out the audio spectrum analyzer, because I'm crazy like that. And it mentions that it is unidirectional, and sadly I don't have a proper way to test that, so I'm going to do one little test, but ultimately we're going to just need to take their word for it. Also, I'm actually going to do two separate tests. The first test, I'm just going to use the included XLR to 3.5mm cable and show you all of the fun that goes along with that. I'm also going to break out a proper XLR cable and my Behringer Xenix 1202 USB audio mixer. This is going to provide phantom power to the mic and just give you an idea on what you can expect if you were to buy that bundle. Anyway, let's swap over to my video capture and go from there. Alright, so the first thing I wanted to do was show you on Audacity just how quiet this mic is when you're using the supplied 3.5mm to XLR audio cable. If you look in the top right-hand corner of Audacity right here, you'll see that I've got the mic volume completely maxed out. Now, admittedly, I can give it a little bit more oomph with some decibel boosts, but ultimately what you want to do is avoid using artificial gain in the computer because that will up your device hiss, and that is not a good thing. In fact, I'm right on top of the microphone right now with a pop filter, don't worry. So I probably sound a little bit bassier than I will if I step back just because of the proximity effect. So let's stand up right now. Okay, I'm about 1 to 1.5 feet away from the mic, and I'm projecting just a little bit more than I was previously, but ultimately, I'm not going that far beyond what I was while using my lavalier microphone. And now, I'm at about 2 feet. The reason I wanted to do both of those tests is because a lot of people will get a condenser microphone so that they don't have to be on top of the mic while they're recording. Anyway, let's hop over to the audio spectrum analyzer really quick and just show you what kind of sound profile I'm getting just with the microphone itself. No additional boosting from software and or an XLR cable to phantom power interface. It's kind of showing what it was on the sheet. It's definitely heavier in the low end than on the high end, but we're missing a lot of the sound in the 50 to 80 hertz range. Now if I come over here, I already have everything set up, so I can just let's just go with 10 decibels. I don't want to blow things out, nor do I want to change how this sounds in post. The next part, I will be adjusting the maximum volume peaks. So let's just throw it plus 10 decibels. That does make a difference, but you're probably hearing a good bit of hiss right now. Not a ton, but an uncomfortable amount, which will have to be removed in post, and that can cause a good amount of artifacting. But as you can see, just by boosting it by 10 decibels, we're starting to get a little bit of pickup in the 50 to 80 hertz range. Now I'm going to change everything up and grab my Xenix 1202 USB and see just how things sound with phantom power. Alright, so before I continue with the audio spectrum analysis, I just wanted to hop back over to Audacity to give you a better idea on the differences between using the 3.5mm to XLR cable this mic comes with and a proper XLR cable to phantom power interface. Now keep in mind that I'm barely doing any level or gain boosts on the mic itself, and I'm only using about 10% of the digital gain this laptop's capable of. Kind of night and day, isn't it? Don't worry, I will be adjusting this down to negative 16 decibels for easy listening in post, and I do hope the other sample is not going to be greater than that after I added the plus 10 decibels to it, just because I don't want to change it so that the differences are kind of obvious. Anyway, let me do a 1 foot away from the mic tests. Here I'm 1 foot away from the mic, and now I'm about 2 feet away from the mic, trying to stay on the same plane. This is about where most people are going to have the microphone, and I'm speaking at a decent presentation volume. Decide for yourself whether or not this sounds that great while I come back in here for the proximity effect. It's actually quite a bit different in my headphones than it's going to sound in post, so that's interesting to say the least. Now, let's just hop back over to Fritcher if I can find my mouse cursor. There we go. And as you can see, I'm definitely getting a lot more response down in the 50 to 80 hertz range, though it's a bit more drop-off than the datasheet promised. That being said, I'm looking at the datasheet right now, and it's a pretty decent match outside of this area right here. It definitely follows the curve, and even the drop-off here is almost identical to what I see on the datasheet. So it's not that bad when you run it through a phantom power interface. Also, I do want to mention that I have an Edirol UA3D USB audio capture card that I thrifted several years ago for $2, and it's actually old tech right now, but if I'm using the microphone with the 3.5mm cable, I can get results very similar to this with very little device noise. So if you've got a USB audio interface or some kind of audio interface capable of adjusting gain at the port level, the 3.5mm cable is actually not that bad. In fact, even though it doesn't sound that great using the 3.5mm cable, at least with the setup that I was doing, which is the bare bones setup most people are going to have, it's not bad. For the money, the fact that you don't necessarily have to invest in a phantom power interface to get some decent use out of this microphone makes it worth the money. And the fact that it's XLR, meaning that it can evolve as your setup evolves, is even better. I will have a video coming in the near future all about the benefits of using USB versus XLR and all kinds of pros and cons for both in the near future, because I've got a lot of USB mics coming soon. Anyway, as you could see from the Audacity capture for this part at least, I've been at this for a while, and my back is starting to hurt due to the fact that I've got it set up where I have to bend over. So, yeah, for $10, this is a great grab. 20 to 30, iffy. I'll show you why later. But it's still not terrible, especially if you're getting the bundle with the boom arm and everything, because you can keep using that even after you outgrow the BM-800. So, until next time, I'm ending this poorly. This is your guy, Cly, signing off.